Hey guys, 10 years in business, I did what I was supposed to do. Um, basically, uh, I pretty much started out really vigorously. Um, really intense, like workloads and putting in over 100 hours a week. Um, I dropped out of college. It seemed like the world was, and still does, seem like the world is revolving around my business career. Because right when I was in my second semester of college, Ty Lopez released a video. If you want to be successful, drop out of college. That to me was like the confirmation that I needed to actually pull the trigger and drop out of college. I didn't like the direction my life was going. Uh, I would rather, from the time I was a kid, I always said I would rather make 20,000 a year working for myself than make a million a year working for someone else. So I really am just like an inborn entrepreneur. It's just a part of my DNA. I don't know what it is. It's just right when I became an adult, I really did hit the ground running. And I had no way to go back to college because I was taking the Pell Grant at the time. I was on a grant and I had no money and I had no credit. I had bad credit. So I couldn't get loans for school. So when I dropped out of college, that was like a firm decision. Um, so I went between business, met my girlfriend at the time. We had a kid together. Bounced around between businesses. And I went through about 6 or 7 businesses, maybe 8 businesses. I dabbled in about 6, maybe 7 different things before I found something that started making me money. And yeah, so that was awesome because at the time I had no money. I had nothing. So, at the time I had no money. So, getting like a little bit of money, that was like really awesome. And at the time, you couldn't work part time, and still today, you can't work part time and support a household for yourself unless you get government assistance, which I didn't want to do some shit like that. And straight out of the gate, out of high school, they only hire, even now, they only hire for like 15 an hour. The only work that was available for me was like minimum wage bullshit work. So I had to make it work in my business. And that was exactly the type of environment or ecosystem that I was trying to create. So pretty much left myself with no way out. I was full force, full speed ahead, going for it. And started making money in an Amazon business, reselling items from thrift stores. And pretty much, I was born and raised in the suburbs. All my life lived in the suburbs, and we'll get to that in a minute, my story on that in a minute. So pretty much my entire surroundings, where most people are trying to get out of the ghetto, I was like desperately trying to escape from the mediocrity that existed all around me. I'd never really been to I'd never seen a mansion with my own eyes all my life. I'd never seen a Rolls Royce with my own eyes all my life. Or a Lamborghini or anything like that. So I was trying to escape. And pretty much I took some of that money from my thrift arbitrage business and I invested it into some bulk quantities of products from China, from Alibaba.com. And pretty much started making about 6 figures per year. Just fulfilled by merchant, shipping out all my own products type of deal. And this is when Amazon FBA started to become really popular. So that wasn't really much of an option for me at the time. I didn't really know what it was. I just knew that I was making money and I was pretty fucking happy about it. And then sometime in December, my grandmother kicked me out of the house. December of before, basically right when I started making money, my grandmother kicked me out of the house. And then she kicked me out again about 6 months later, and I had like $2,000 in my pocket. And I had to move to the east side, which was pretty much my first experience living in anywhere but the suburbs. So pretty much I was living in the ghetto in some dude's basement for $450 a month. So I had to get a job. But I can't work a job because I have mental illness. So I got fired from that job and I wound up homeless. I had like a small YouTube channel going on, like a bodybuilding YouTube channel where I would post videos and nothing major, just maybe like 20 subscribers, and pretty much I became homeless. I pretty much became homeless, and I had to figure something out. So I called my mom, and my mom got me into a nursing home. Oddly enough, I'm like 20, 21 years old living in a nursing home. And my mother encouraged me to apply for disability. I didn't want to apply for disability. I wanted to go hit the streets again and try to make my way in the world. Maybe get like a job or something. Maybe like figure something out. But my final decision was I applied for disability, and then I applied for a couple jobs like down the street from the nursing home. And didn't get the jobs, but got approved for disability my first time around, which was good. And pretty much I went on this big like 7-year adventure of pretty much I was studying like 12 hours a day. When I got approved for disability, I found that I had the freedom to do rather within like a certain budget of money. I could do like whatever I want. So I would study business for like 12 hours a day. And that's my story of my 20s. Is I spent probably over 20,000 hours just studying business. I I read probably like really only read probably like 20 books, maybe like 10 to 20 books. Everyone was talking about books, books, books. You got to read books. I found that it was much more. I had much more of an advantage watching videos. So I would be watching videos, and so that's how I spent my 20s, pretty much just watching business videos. And the first 2 years was some pretty intense work, working like over 100 hours a week. And somehow still found time to like go to the gym and stuff because my business was in fitness. So the first 2 years I was working out maybe like an hour a day. And I was selling personal training and dietary supplements. But I wasn't going anywhere with those businesses, so that's how I wound up starting the Amazon businesses. And then when I went on disability, I found that I had the freedom to study business for 12 hours a day, which is what I did for like 7 years. And then I got into the business that I'm in right now, which is well, I can't say exactly what it is that I do. It's nothing illegal. I just don't want to talk about it. But I added about 100 million to 200 million and maybe up to about 300 million into my portfolio in the past 3 years or 2 years. And yeah, so pretty excited about it. Basically, what I do is I acquire premium domain names and I turn them into actual businesses. And that means launching like digital applications. And if you think about it, you know, building out the final project of these businesses, building out like the final project of these businesses, if a domain name is worth, for example, I own a domain name, thebankofcryptocurrency.com, which is probably worth about maybe 12 million to maybe like 17 million and maybe 18 million, 24 million, something like that, to the right investor. You know, plus with the corresponding trademark application that I have, is probably worth somewhere around like 30 to 40 million, you know, with the corresponding to build out like a website and a mobile application makes the business worth like 70 million. How do I come up with that number? Well, I don't know. Ask the person who valued my business. I think it was I forget who it was, but it's based off of basically the fact that crypto.com was sold for around 7 million, and the Bank of Cryptocurrency is probably going to take over the crypto space, maybe be like number 2 to crypto.com. And yeah, so that's what I do. I'm working on building an online portal for the Freemasons, if you ever heard of that, so that you could become a Freemason basically online. That's one thing I'm working on right now. I have like 10 projects going on right now, and that's what I'm going to be working on as soon as I close out of this video. So pretty much that's it. So I spent my 20s, 10 years of entrepreneurship. I spent 7 years of that studying business. The first 2 years was pretty intense. And then for the past 2 years, the past year to 2 years, I just been acquiring premium web assets. Only premium web assets. I don't deal with like small time stuff. I'm trying to build a portfolio of companies that are worth like $1 billion plus each, over like a couple billion each. Aside from a few aside from a few like free things that I want to publish to the public, I'm working on a project called thefreedegree.com. Which is like a free 2-year college equivalent of like something for people's resume, for people that don't have money for college or for people who don't want to go to college. Like something to after high school to basically educate yourself, called the free degree. And that's something that is like a lifelong project of mine. I take courses all the time, trying to learn as much about life as possible. And pretty much, and then I'm working on a project about, what was that? Oh, a lot of free like ebooks on my personal website aside from my paid programs. Gonna be publishing like a lot of free ebooks on there and stuff. And but other than that, that's how I spent 10 years of entrepreneurship. Probably like 7 years. I studied like 12 hours a day. Between like 8 and 12 hours a day. And for the past 2 years, I've been studying and working maybe like pretty much like every waking hour for like 10 years. And that netted me a net worth of over, if you consider me as the vision keeper and the CEO of the umbrella company, you can consider me a billionaire. So that's pretty cool.